time's it, Kira?
Time for the Stated Podcast, thanks.
It was never quite mastered, that intro.
I forgot what you're meant to say. It's been so long.
What was the only good one? Dave's one was very good, I think. Dave had the best intro. And it was it's E3 o'clock. And we're doing a thing on E3. Awful. Anyways, yes, this is episode 36 of the Stated Podcast. What are we talking about today, Kira?
The Boys.
The Boys, seasons 1 to 3.
Seasons 1 to 3.
We were going to do this last year, but it has been a while since we watched it and we weren't really in the mood to.
And forgot. Well,
yeah,
we
just kind of
rewatched
forgot
it
about
and
it.
forgot everything.
Well, I didn't. You did.
I forgot everything. Like, I actually.
Once again, as always, Kira has her notes here with her. 2 pieces of paper this time. If you can hear that. More notes than anyone that has ever prepared for, these podcasts.
That's just because that's what happens when you have a really bad memory.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, what way do you want to start this off? And do you want to just start off in season 1 and then make our way through the seasons and then sort of talk about season 4 possibilities and stuff like that?
Sure, whatever you want to do. Lead.
Well, you start because you've seen it more recently than me.
Well,
for context, Kira, we watched season 3 and then she forgot the first 2.
And now I kind of forget season 3.
And now she forgets season 3 after we watched the first 2.
Yeah, well, I think we're in agreement that season 1's definitely the strongest. And it kind of progressively declines a wee bit in quality as it goes on.
Throughout the season,
No, I still think season 3 is still pretty good. I don't actually think it's bad. I just think season 1 is so strong. And I think I actually preferred season 2 when I rewatched it. Yeah. Just because I love the whole Stormfront thing. I think it's just so ridiculous. Yeah, I forgot about like Translucent, and I forgot about your one, Madeline. Stillwell or whatever her name is. I forgot that like your man that plays Edgar, Mr. Edgar's guy. I can never say his name.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah. I forgot that
You've watched him in The Mandalorian.
I know, but I can never say his name. But he
was an Usual Suspect.
Oh, he's class. he is class. No, I forgot that he basically isn't in the first season, but it's like a big build up.
Yeah, he just sort of appears in like the last episode or second last episode. Yeah.
And it's so powerful because he's so good. It's like you've been waiting to know who this Mr. Edgar's guy is.
Oh, well, he's such a presence.
Yeah.
Just in any role he plays, really.
He's so good.
Just dominating TV at the minute with between Better Call Saul, The Mandalorian, and this like.
Yeah, he's on a good run. I don't really know what we're really gonna say.
Well, what do you think's wrong with season 1? Do you think there's anything wrong with it?
Well, there's things wrong with everything, but like every show. But I'm trying to think. Like, I think because there is so many characters, they can't make every character interesting. So the first season, I like the whole thing with A-Train. Yeah. And Popclaw and the Compound V. Because it's good. Like, I think it's kind of like a good mystery going on at the same time. And I always love a mystery. But there's not really anything happening with Black Noir, which we do get in season 3, which is pretty good. But as soon as we get it, he's gone.
Well, as always, spoilers.
Oh yeah, sorry. Disclaimer.
No, I always say this. I said this in the last episode with me and Adam. I always say, every time we do say spoilers, I'm always, oh yeah, and spoilers. There's never a warning prior.
It's always too late by the time we say
spoilers. But I always say the same thing where it's like, why would you listen to this anyways if you haven't seen it? You know what I mean?
Well, why would you just listen anyway? Yeah, I don't know. I think I like what they do with Starlight. I'm just trying to think character-wise. Oh, casting-wise, the show was excellent.
I think it's very well cast.
Yeah. Really, really well cast. And like there's a good balance between like both, like obviously the boys, but also like amongst the 7. Yeah, there is like a good. They bounce off each other really well. It definitely looks better. Season 1 definitely looks better.
Do you think it's more of it's because it's more grounded and they kind of rely less on the visual effects?
Probably, yeah.
Because like the only kind of massive thing from season 1 visual effects wise is obviously the plane situation, which is mainly practical. You know, obviously there is a lot of visual effects work in there.
Yeah.
But when there is visual effects in that season, the first season, it's not the best. Like, you can tell it was a season 1 of something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think even later on, some of the seasons, like, I think Starlight's powers always look shit for some reason.
Her eyes, it is the eyes as
But
well.
it's even just like when she has glowing hands or she has a big glow. I don't know whether it's the fact that maybe they don't have actual lights on set so that they have it as a reference.
Yeah.
Or if they just put it in post. Where it doesn't, because it doesn't kind of, because it doesn't kind of feel like it's interacting with the actual environment in a way.
Yeah. I feel like they don't know what to do with her powers most of the time anyway. Because she kind of, I don't really.
It's always like, oh, here, now I'm going to do this. And then it's like, okay, you need like an electrical source to do this. And it's like, alright, that's kind of a shit power. You know, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think season 1, I think they handle every character very well. Like you are introduced to them all, and you do have like, I think Black Noir is interesting because you don't know anything about him. I think that's the funny thing about him. He's just kind of like a ninja that doesn't speak.
For the first 2 seasons, we don't know anything, and then, but he is like, Black Noir is a really cool character, but I just like Translucence. I completely forgot Translucence.
Oh yeah, he's just in the start, and then it's
I genuinely forgot about it, and I love how it starts with Frenchie and MM and all that, like all of the stuff, because I think it does it well as the subplots and stuff. Or you want to know what happened between Frenchie and MM and then Butcher beforehand. So there is like so many elements that end up coming together that distract from just the main objective, I guess. Whereas like I think what happens in season 3 is like there is that going on, but all of like the subplots and like stories are kind of like
uninteresting.
Yeah, like Frenchie's thing is just like not interesting at all.
Yeah.
And I love Frenchie.
Yeah.
But I just really like what's going on with Kamiko is pretty good in it.
Well, I think she's interesting in every season.
Yeah.
I think the thing about Kimiko is literally every season she has an arc and she has stuff to do, and that's why I think she's very interesting in every season. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like they didn't know what to do. Like MM stuff. The thing I find interesting about MM stuff is like, your man is Todd, the guy that's married to his wife.
That's season 3 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Well, is he in? No, he's not in season 2. He's only in season 3.
No, he's only in season 3, yeah.
I felt like he was there longer for some reason.
No. They only appeared in season 3, yeah.
I don't know why I thought he was there longer. Anyway, I kind of hope they do something with him in season 4, because he's fucking crazy.
Oh, yeah,
yeah, and he's like such a, like, I was kind of nearly hoping, I know I'm getting way ahead of myself here, but that
we just jumped 2 seasons.
I was kind of hoping that Todd might put MM's wife or ex-wife in danger and might get her killed or something. I just thought that would be so cool. I don't think they'll kill the daughter.
Yeah.
But I just think it'd be cool.
Yeah. And you just kind of feel bad for MM then.
Yeah.
So then you just kind of blame himself.
Yeah.
But no, I think.
Sorry, we'll go back.
Yeah, I know, we have a bit of a transition there. No, what I was gonna say with Black Noir is Black Noir kind of represents that kind of like Snake Eyes and like G.I. Joe, where it was like they just had an action figure and it's a ninja and it's all black and stuff. You don't and they have like 2 swords and shit, but they just don't speak. He's kind of representative of that. Obviously, as like kind of Batman angle as well.
Yeah.
But no, season 1.
He does have a personality though.
Oh yeah.
Like, because we do see him
that in season 3.
To when do they release the thing about the Compound V, that they weren't born special, that that was pumped into them. Is that in season 1?
That's season 1,
Because he is crying in the hallway.
Was that season 1?
It's
Yeah, it was the end of season 1.
Yeah. So, like, you do get a glimpse of personality in there, which I think is what makes him actually interesting. The Deep is just... he's
the worst character.
He is the worst character. And I feel like that's just like...
Well, he's kind of like a golden retriever. Where he's kind of, he's just a fucking idiot. He kind of just follows everyone, just like, oh, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that as well. Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Just following like a wee fucking lapdog. Like, but, yeah.
Yeah,
no.
he is the only one when they cut to his stuff. I'm just like, oh, I'm just not really that interested. Although I did like his stuff in season 2, but season 3, not interested in him. But season 2, yeah, he is more interesting. I do love, sorry,
You think season 3 is interesting?
No, season 2 is probably the most interesting. No, I said he wasn't interested in season 3.
Well, this is what I've always said about season 1 and 2. I know we're getting all mixed up here and confused. But, so season 1, pretty solid, right?
Yeah.
You get all these characters established. They all get a nice bit of screen time and stuff, and you learn everything about them, right? Season 2, a lot get pushed to the side, because it almost feels like they don't know what to do with them. Because they don't really massively impact the main story. So they'll just to get them to do like one wee thing. Like A-Train, for example. It's like, he doesn't really impact the main story, but, we'll get him to come in at the end and be like, oh, here's, this comes to Nazi. Right, anyways, that's all he kind of does to the main plot. But it almost feels like anyone could have done that. Well, it didn't actually, it almost feels like they wanted him to feel important, because he's not really in season 2 as much, and this is what I've always said about season 2. I think the problem is every character, they have too many characters.
Yeah.
Right? And then in season 2 they add more.
Yeah.
So now you have a problem where you have characters fighting for screen time. Okay?
See, I don't mind A-Train not having much to do in season 2, because season 1 it was mostly about him, and then in season 2 it's kind of this slow kind of basically just him realizing that he gets treated differently because he's a black man. Like it's kind of, I know, I'm sure, like, because we didn't really see much of that in season 1, it is.
Yeah.
And like when the Nazi thing starts to come into play.
Oh yeah.
That's why, like, I don't mind that his story is very, it seems very small in the grand, like, scheme of the show, but it's probably one of the more, like, interesting subplots that goes on,
because it's not until really season 3 that it's like, right, here we're gonna do a whole race storyline for him, right?
Yeah.
And I think that I'm like, oh yeah, cool, he's interesting again. Do you know what I mean? That kind of a way.
I don't mind them taking a break. I know what you mean, but I think like too much of a character at the same time, like they do that in a lot of shows when there's a lot of characters, is they push them to the side. They push them to the side.
We'll bring you back later.
Yeah,
almost.
Because they kind of like, well, it's like you can't really progress the character on because it doesn't fit with the plot, and you can't make up something in between, because it's nearly like they had a plan in place for what will happen with A-Train.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, we need to put you on pause for a wee while we deal with other stuff and catch up with the position that you're in.
I just think it's a bit lazy though.
Yeah, well,
because like I think Game of Thrones was, you know, the kind of where it's like, oh, these characters all are important, and then they'll die, you know, because like their purpose is done, but you're never bored of these characters. You know what I mean? Like Breaking Bad does a similar thing, you know, where like I just think Breaking Bad is just such a good show. Right? No, I just like it is the pinnacle of TV where like every character is important. And none of them are kind of pushed aside, and they all have their own storylines going on every season. Yeah. You know, and if a character's kind of done, it's like, right, you're fucking dead. But, you know, even if a character's not done, the next season it's not like, oh, we'll get you fuck all to do. We'll have you do something that's integral in a way. Yeah. So that's why I just think it's a bit lazy. Now, that being said, these are based off of shitty comics, right?
Yeah, they're bad comics.
I've read some of them. They're fucking awful, right? like the show is actually better. I think 99% of people will fucking agree that the good thing about it is they almost approach it in a Marvel way.
Okay.
Where they'll select certain storyline instead of just, adapting the whole fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
They'll select certain stuff, be like, right, I'll take that from that comic, I'll take that,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll put my own spin on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it works really well. Whereas the actual comics are just like, it is like edgy 12-year-olds wrote it, and it's not that interesting at all.
Yeah.
I will finish them.
I
don't know why I wanted.
When was the comics written though?
Oh, years ago.
Because obviously it's a very modern.
It was in that era of edgy.
Yeah.
We're gonna do something real fucking edgy, and it's gonna be so cool. Look, there's blood and guts and stuff.
Because obviously the setting is very interesting because it's set in modern day.
Yeah.
But I think that the technology part, I think, is what makes it the most interesting. The power of the media, certain movements, mostly. Well, Me Too is really the main basis of the first season, isn't it? Really. I think that was what was really happening.
With Starlight, anyways, yeah.
Yeah. No, but I just mean
Oh, you mean when they're talking about? Oh, yeah. You mean in terms of the actual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's happening
in
real time when the show's set. So obviously how they approach the satire of, well, I don't know, I think because this is going to sound really hateful, but I know that it's not done subtly at all. And that's part of the charm of the show.
Well, yeah.
Well, I think the reason it works is because people don't pick up on subtlety anymore.
Yeah.
They need to be spoon-fed everything.
100%.
And I just think that's probably why. When I'm watching, I'm like, okay, I didn't need to be told it directly, but so many people do need to be told things so directly.
100%.
I think that's why The Boys works.
Yeah, when in season 3 they go into the amusement area, and it's them basically almost satirizing how businesses are oh yeah, BLM, oh yeah, we're all all supportive, LGBT, plus, plus, it's all this corporation sort of fuck you almost, but it's not subtle in any way. It's very fucking obvious,
yeah, it's just capitalizing everything and actually not being humane about anything.
It's basically just what everyone thinks of on a daily basis, plastered right in front of you. So everyone can just kind of come across and be like, yeah, we all know, it's not fucking right.
And I think the fact that it does all take place in America is...
Yeah.
To me, it just shows
the fundamental basis of capitalism.
I'm not meaning to offend anybody here, but it does seem sometimes that America...
This is to our American viewers, I apologise.
No, but
Kira's opinions do not necessarily reflect those of the Student Podcast or any other person in the world.
No, I don't mean it that way, but I mean, sometimes you don't see...
That was satire.
Sometimes you don't see beyond your own country or whatever, continent.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Right.
That's what everyone, I think.
America is such a big place that sometimes I feel Americans
it's almost
don't
like a continent.
See anything but America.
100%.
And I think The Boys really shows that, because it's whatever is happening in that bubble, that's what they're interested in and believing in. So the whole thing about, obviously season 2 is about immigrants and stuff, and it's
and there's an election coming up,
and
it was very
it's just it's very on the nose, but I'm just I hope people actually understand what they're taking the piss out of here and not what they're not taking the piss out of.
Well, what I kind of is they're not afraid to take the piss out of everyone.
Yeah.
So everyone can kind of get a joke almost.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think that is the point, is you have to be able to you can't discriminate against anyone, so you discriminate
you become
against
biased.
Everybody.
Yeah, 100%. Because it's almost because we were comparing this to Watchmen.
Yeah.
Well, I was saying, because Watchmen while there is some stuff that just isn't subtle,
Mm-hmm.
there is small subtleties in certain things and stuff. And while the film and the comic book, for example, fuck Doomsday Clock, I'll never read that shit. But the original comic book, it's when they put the Watchmen characters talking to the actual like Batman and shit, and it just doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
It'd be like putting the boys in the Marvel universe. It just wouldn't work. Do you know what I mean? Like, right?
Okay.
But yeah, like Watchmen, like the comic and the film is very much you know, fuck the right. The right's wrong, right?
Okay.
And then the TV show is very much like, oh, the left's just wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So there is kind of this almost balance between the two.
Yeah.
Whereas the boys just does that all in just the one show.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Well, I think The Boys as well is showing. I think the best way to look at it is, you know, that character. What do you call her? Sorry, this is not good.
is this the
Entertainment.
Congresswoman?
The Congresswoman.
Yes.
Yeah. I think she's the perfect, like, non-bias that the show has, which is she's obviously meant to be like left-wing, very progressive,
But she doesn't actually believe.
but she doesn't believe in it.
Yeah.
It's all because at the end of the day, people only care about money. So that's like the whole point of the show, and they only care about their own, because she only cares about her and her
daughter.
Her daughter.
Yes.
So it's just like everybody's really lying about what they actually believe, and like when Homelander, like in season 2, whenever like Stormfront is like being like to Homelander's son, you know, when we were just watching it, when she's like, you know, the white genocide or something,
and Homelander's just like, like you'd see his face, like, I don't know if I agree with this.
Yeah, it's
His
like,
face is like I don't know how we could make this come across, audio wise, but his fucking face is so funny because he's just like, I don't know.
but he doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
So like it's like, even though Homelander is the villain, he doesn't necessarily agree. Like, even though you would see him as kind of more right wing or whatever, he doesn't necessarily believe all of those things.
Yeah, 100%.
Either.
Yeah.
He is only out for himself, so everybody is basically true neutral,
100%.
bar like Huey and maybe MM and Starlight. Yeah. Oh well.
Well, he just gives a fuck about the, what the stock is like.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Like,
100%.
people only care about money in that
Well,
show.
this is the funny thing. Like, the entire show is literally about everyone's really a piece of shit because no one actually believes in the shit they're saying.
Yeah.
They just do it for their own beliefs and benefits.
Pretty much.
Whether those beliefs just don't agree with the ones they're actually following to, progress. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And I think if, by the final season, I think the one thing to take away from the show is just like, everyone's beliefs doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Like,
No, people change. Not everybody, but
on a daily basis.
A lot of people
yes.
only believe in stuff, or like
because it's said to them
or
online
they have
by someone.
Values because they can use it to like climb the ladder
100%.
or just get on in life. So I think the Deep in season 2, right?
It's a prime example.
Exactly, because his whole redemption arc.
Yeah,
I'm saying
quotations. Yes. Because you
all...
visually did that to me there. I was like, they're not going to get that across.
Not going to see my quotation marks. Well, his whole thing with the Church of the Collective, which I think is...
It's not Scientology, by the way. It's got nothing to do with Scientology, the Church of the Collective.
I think it's so interesting. But
yeah.
he doesn't believe the shit that they're telling him in that church. Like, he doesn't believe it. But he can use the church to go back into the 7 or whatever. So... But for a time, he's like acting as a puppet on behalf of the church, and he does act different, and he does like nearly come across as he believes the things
you almost
that he's
think
saying.
he is,
yeah.
And then it's like,
and then
no.
at the end, it's just like he actually like just loses it, and he's like, no, like, so it's like it's this whole idea of like you can abuse women or you can abuse people
and get away
with it because you tried to make a difference and then became a, in quotes, victim yourself. So it's just like a very it's just really like politically charged,
Yeah.
this entire show, but I just really love how they do everything, because it's like, I think the reason they could get away with it being so politically charged is because
it's the subtext.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, and we actually see the good guys get revenge from time to time,
Yes.
which stops the anger a little bit when you're watching it, because you're like, well, at least I'm getting some release here. Because I feel like if they were always losing against the Supes, you would be like, well, not even just the Supes, but like mostly like Vought and the the government things. I just think you would be so angry all the time, because these things actually are happening in real life, and you can't really do anything about it because you're just an ordinary Joe. Pretty much.
Well, like, I think the subtext really saves the show.
Yeah.
Because some of, like, the plot lines, you're kind of like, see, if this was, like, an Avengers film or something, this would just be shit. Like, you know, but just because it has that subtext, the subtext is more interesting, obviously, than what's going on. Like, do I really have to see Huey try and sneak into the tower to go save Starlight, and then her just kind of save herself, and then they just kind of meet up anyways, and you know, it's not actually interesting, but it's just with the subtext and shit going on, you're more, when you go watch an Avengers film, you're there for the main plot, because there's never subtext, right? But when you're watching The Boys,
we didn't do subtext.
But when you're watching The Boys, it's solely you're more interested in the actual subtext, that you don't give a shit what the fucking main plot is, even if it's like, because some of the plot points are really shit and stupid and you don't really give a fuck about them, but it's just simply, you're just watching it because, it's easy, I can just watch this and look to find out if there's going to be a joke here or there, or they're going to make a really funny, you know, reference to something actually happened in real life, you know.
I think, can we talk about Homelander for a while? We
can.
Because you love Homelander. And
well, I don't love Homelander. I love Anthony Starr's portrayal as, because he just acts. Well, I think a lot of people act really good in this. You know, some more than others, but we're not naming names. But yeah, no, I think he does a really good job. And for like, not necessarily his big hit of a show, because he had Banshee before, which was like a moderately big show, mainly in America and stuff.
Okay.
Which I must go back and rewatch. But technically this is his first kind of like big break. It's good to see that, you know, oh shit, he is a really good actor, and this is only his first kind of big break now. I think it speaks also a lot to what, like, our kind of like the superhero genre does now, where you can be a big actor but you won't get any gigs, and you won't kind of be that famous until you're in a fucking superhero kind of a thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
he's very expressive with his face.
Yeah.
Just physically very expressive, but kind of subtly at times. Yeah. Just certain things he does, I'm just like,
well, his mannerisms are great.
Yeah, like it's so in character. Yeah. All of the time. Yeah, I just think he's actually, like, I hated him when I first watched it, and then when I started getting, after watching season 3, then I'm like, okay, you know what, I actually really like him.
He's an interesting character. Yeah,
because I think, like, the thing about Homelander, I think, you know what, the reason why I started to like Homelander is when they brought Soldier Boy in. And then I was like, oh, I actually like Homelander.
Yeah, I know.
It's bad.
Because you think Homelander's the worst piece of shit ever. And then we'll get back into Soldier Boy. But Soldier Boy comes in, you're like, Jesus, this guy is actually not as bad. Fucking hell.
Yeah. It's so bad, because, like, I think it does take, like, somebody worse to come along for it.
What does that say?
But I still don't like Homelander because he is more complicated than Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy, you just know he's going to fuck you over. Whereas Homelander, you don't know. Yeah. You know he probably will, but you don't know when, because he's going to use you for what you're worth until he's done. Whereas Soldier Boy just doesn't have any morals and can't be wavered with at all. Like, because
like, while Homelander isn't the smartest person in the room, he is smart.
He is a smart character.
He is smart, but it's like, there are characters smarter than him. But the thing is, he's always learning. Yeah. And he is getting smarter as the seasons progress. Yeah. and he always takes good opportunities that will benefit him. Like, he is a very, like, it's not like he's Superman, where he is just this, well, not kind-hearted and shit, but, Superman isn't the smartest fucking character, right? Yeah. Superman's probably just your average kind of Joe.
Yeah.
But it's just he physically is, he's just, can do all these things and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas Homelander, was like that at the start.
Yeah. And,
it was more of the difference is he is intelligent.
Yeah.
So he learned over time that,
I think that Homelander also recognizes, like, other people who are much weaker physically than him have stronger positions than him because they're intelligent.
100%.
So he's like copping on. He's like, okay, it actually doesn't matter how strong and powerful I am. I actually don't have anything over these people because they're so smart, or they, they're just cute. Like, they know what's going on and they know how to pull strings to get what they want.
Yeah.
So like he's slowly learning that.
Yeah, like, I think you've kind of nailed it perfectly there. Like when you see Homelander come up against someone, like, the boys, for example, right?
Yeah.
They view it because they view, the physicality of Homelander. So he'll beat them physically.
Yeah.
Because there's no point with, the whole intellect thing, right? Whereas when he's in a room with Stannig, yes, he could fucking destroy the cunt, right?
Yeah.
But he would never win.
Yeah.
He has to beat him, with his fucking head.
Yeah.
Like. But yeah, no, you've got it perfect there.
Which
like.
is so much more interesting. And I think it's also...
Because he's such a 3-dimensional character, you know what I mean?
Oh, there's so much going on there. And I think that's what happens in a lot of superhero films and shows nowadays as well, which is like, when we see a character in like an action sequence... It's all about their physical strength, their combat skills and all that kind of stuff. Rather than, I think it's so much more interesting when a character has to like use their brain to fight. So like they have to create things, or they have to like actually strategize and stuff. But like Homelander obviously doesn't have to do that, but he's like slowly learning how to actually play those cards right. Which is just so much more interesting, I think.
I know this is a mild tangent.
Okay.
But I think the perfect example of that, and you're going to hate this.
Oh no.
BVS.
Okay.
Just because
Batman.
when Batman and Superman are fighting,
yeah,
because Superman's just like, I'll just punch him a couple of times and he'll give up.
Yeah.
Batman could easily have made a kryptonite bullet.
Yeah.
Or he could have just got the spear straight away and just killed the cunt, right?
Yeah.
But he just wanted him to feel weak and suffer.
Yeah.
Like the way, he did as a child, because he was helpless.
Yeah.
And then he takes out the fucking spear. He's like, alright, now you can die like a man. I think that was the only kind of way I could compare it, in the sense that I could think of.
You can't pass an
opportunity. I can't pass the opportunity, to bring up BVS, I have to say. I apologize.
When we're talking about Schneider, I love the Dawn of the Seven stuff. It's not subtle at all.
No,
and it's
wonderful.
Not, no.
Yeah. It's very blatant. Like.
Yeah. But
well,
I
even
like
in
to know...
season 2, because a lot of people picked it up more prior to season 3 because they released that trailer.
Yeah.
And, the Bork cut or whatever. But, like, even in season 2, I picked it up with...
something about Joss Whedon for the rewrite.
Yeah, but actually, it was season 1 I picked it up on, because, they have the pitch meeting and stuff.
Yeah.
And they show the poster, and the poster is basically the BVS poster. Where it's that grey kind of gritty background, and they have that kind of red logo, which is kind of like the Superman logo in the in the actual thing. Yeah. And then they have Dawn of the Dawn of Justice. It's not fucking subtle at all, right? Just bring this up. That's what I noticed. And then they only have that mild reference with the Joss Whedon.
Yeah. What I do like is they're 2. Clearly on Team Zach though. Like they are Schneider fans.
Because the whole point is that.
Because they don't take the piss
Homelander's basically interfering with the film to make it look shit and make the team look shit. Like, he's getting A-Train out of the film. There's not even 7 members in the fucking thing, right? Maeve is poorly written as a lesbian character. You know, it's very Whedon-esque.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's big time.
And yeah, no, I just like the. Well, he actually replied. I told you this. He when they released that trailer, he replied to them and he was like, "Oh yeah, very happy to hear that Bork got his version of the film released."
Because directors do deserve their own cuts, regardless of what some director might think.
Which one you think? Taika. Oh
saying,
wow.
Oh, directors
subtle.
their... Yeah.
Funnily enough, me and Adam, we forgot to talk about that in the last
really?
episode, so we can talk about it now if you want. Because it was only after we finished recording it, he just turned around and was like, we forgot to talk about the director's cut thing. And I was like, I don't even want to mention his name, man.
You know what's so weird though? It's like he's betrayed his own kind. He actually did. He betrayed the directors by saying they don't deserve their own.
Well, it just shows how much of a director he is.
He's not a director by my standard. Anybody that says, well, my version of the film doesn't need to be, my artistic vision doesn't need to be met.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a whole tangent.
Anyway, Dawn of the Seven looks great. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think.
Well, should we say that, The Boys is like, visual standpoint, it is basically DC. It is basically a nice blend of DC and Marvel blended in together.
Yeah.
Where you have kind of like... It feels like you took parts of if Marvel tried to make a DC film.
Pretty much.
And if DC tried to make a Marvel film and you kind of blended them together, that's kind of what you would get.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it actually is DC meets Marvel in certain ways. Because it has like the darkness of DC.
Oh yeah, like the visual aspect where it's trying to be really gritty and stuff.
Yeah.
But it has those nice lenses.
Yeah.
But it sometimes has the kind of shit CG of Marvel. But it has the over-the-top blood of DC.
Of DC, yeah. Yeah, it's actually a very weird blend, but I think it works very well. And it's like, I don't mind the campiness because it is like, there is a reason for it. It is meant to be a parody, essentially.
Well, I think going back to the whole subtlety of it, of the satire, I think it's a great sort of example, because Watchmen came out, the TV show, that came out 2019. The Boys also came out in 2019.
Okay.
What did everyone watch?
The Boys.
Exactly.
Which is...
Very few people watched Watchmen. Now, first of all, it was a HBO exclusive. And where are you going to fucking watch it? Yeah. Right? I only watched it when I got the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Right? It is an amazing show, by the way.
Watchmen
it is a really good show. Yeah, do go watch it. Yeah, it is perfectly done. I'm so happy it's a limited series. I don't know if I would have wanted a second season.
Yeah.
It's like this show, but more sort of grounded. Not grounded. It's more.
Well, it's more serious anyway.
Yeah, it is more. It does take itself a bit more seriously. There are some funny jokes in there. Yeah. Yes, it's weirdly a sequel to the comic and not the film.
It's much more thoughtful, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think the main problem is you can watch The Boys season 1. You have to sort of have prior knowledge to Watchmen.
Yeah, because I didn't know what was...
Yeah, I had to explain some stuff to you because you hadn't read the comic. I think that's...
Not too much.
Not too much. It's mainly the ending and shit like that. But that's why I see why The Boys appeal to a lot more people. Like, the Boys appeals to DC fans. And The Boys appeals to Marvel fans. I think that's the kind of problem with Watchmen, where it's kind of more DC oriented.
It is, yeah. That's probably why I liked it, though. I prefer DC stuff, if they can get it right.
Yeah.
But we won't get into that today,
anyways,
because that's that's too much of a tangent.
What else are you gonna say? I know we're jumping back.
Ryan.
Yes, the kid. Yes. Recast after season 1.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, who's this kid? I don't remember him. Good, because he looked weird.
Jeez.
No, No, like not the peer creator.
This could be libelous.
No, he looked weird in comparison because I was used to the other guy.
Oh right.
But it was just like he was really like. He didn't actually look like he could have been either. You know, like either son. Do you know what I mean? Like he did look completely different to the two of them. Where at least the young fella that plays Ryan now in season 2 and 3, he could be one of their sons, I guess.
I think he's pretty good.
Is he more powerful? Do you think he would be more powerful than Homelander?
See, the problem with this is it's weird because he is a like he's sort of half a Sip, which is weird.
Yeah.
Because his mother wasn't.
Yeah.
And we don't know about Homelander.
Yeah, because he might be from two Sips.
Yeah, well,
potentially.
Yeah, the weird
theory.
There is a theory that he is Stormfront's child.
Yeah.
Which could be fucking weird. That
would be class.
I don't think they'll go with it. I don't think they'll go with it because there would have been more hints towards it prior if they were going to do that. Although I think he would kind of go a bit mental because it would be a bit fucked up, like.
But see, I can imagine her loving that because.
Oh yeah, she's fucking weird.
Because you would keep it in the family. You don't
want to mix bloods, like.
Yeah.
That would be strange.
Yeah, I just.
What was I saying?
Yeah, you don't know because he's kind.
Oh yeah, I don't know because he's kind of half and half.
Yeah.
So, but his. See, the problem with Homelander's laser eyes is we don't know if he's even using all his power.
Yeah. Because
at points.
Because that was what you brought up the point whenever he's having like sex with
he could only be lightly doing it.
Yeah, because
that wouldn't kill her.
Yeah.
But it still burns her, like.
Yeah, because I'm just like, I would like to know if he had been fully trying there or not, because Ryan fucks her. As we see.
Oh, he's probably using all his power.
Like,
though.
He just shatters her
with
a anchor. So then, maybe...
And he's only a kid.
Yeah. He has no control over it.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, is he as strong as Homelander?
Yeah. Because he has his powers.
Is Soldier Boy not as strong as Homelander? Homelander is the strongest, isn't he?
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to know.
I was trying to figure with Billy, but... Like, because Billy obviously is Homelander's equivalent when...
Who, Butcher?
Yeah.
Yeah, other than he can't fly.
Yeah. Oh, well, that we know of yet.
Well, I think he would know if he could fly.
No, I'd say he'll fly in season 4.
Oh, he'll probably die anyways in season 4.
Well,
Joel, I think will happen to him. Actually, we'll talk about the season 4 predictions in a minute.
Okay.
We'll close with sort of that and stuff. But
okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, problems with season 3.
Well, my problems with it are...
Characters, mostly.
Clearly... And I think you're going to see this with a lot of film... Well, not films, but... films, for example. But TV shows as well as... You can tell there was a pandemic.
Yeah, you can.
And I think... You can really tell from those kind of shows and films produced from 2020 all the way from last year. Whereas now we're kind of free from that in a way. I think that season kind of stands out a lot compared to the first two. I also think it's a bit lazy, some of the writing. Because I just think the first few seasons it's almost like every episode's carefully written and there's something always interesting happening.
Yeah.
And there's always like 12 fucking storylines going on.
Yeah.
Whereas in this season it's kind of like, I suppose I have to do something with this character. Here, I'll give them this kind of a story. We'll kind of dip into it a bit and then we'll fuck off. But we're not really entirely interested. Like, a lot of Frenchie stuff in the season 3, wasn't very interesting.
Yeah. And kind of not necessary, I don't think.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Frenchie... I think the problem is Frenchie's storyline... It's not that it's closed, he gets a lot of closure, but like, the whole thing that he... With Lamplighter in season 2. I think that pretty much...
That was a closer.
It
almost.
is a bit of a closer for him.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like in season 3, you're like, well,
what do we do with him?
I'm not going to kill him.
No.
But now I don't know what to do with him to make him still interesting.
Yeah, so we'll go and make him visit... previous relationships and.
Yeah.
But it's almost like he's kind of like dealt with his past already.
Mm.
I know it's kind of strange. I just feel like they don't really know what to do with him.
Yeah.
I think,
because they don't want to give him a happy ending.
Because like with MM, for at least they brought in a different character.
Yeah.
Which
I think is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think that will be interesting moving forward.
But I think,
at least they know what they're doing with MM, for example, and like they also touched more on the whole with the whole Soldier Boy thing, and Soldier Boy, indirectly killed his grandfather, and then it also kind of, pained his father, and then pain is brought onto him, and he doesn't want to pass it on to his dog. So I think there's this kind of, MM's always interesting, and I think in this season it was kind of funny because he always holds them together. But this season it was like, no, why the fuck do I have to do this all the time?
Yeah.
He was getting a bit sick of it, which he just would eventually, like.
I think they'll run out of stuff for Huey.
Yeah, and you can tell.
It feels like he's actually, this season, that final episode, wrapped it for him. Almost, yeah. I love the conversation they had in the car about his dad. About what real strength is. Yes. Like, that is like my dream in any superhero thing, is they talk about what actual strength means. Yeah. Because I think it's never actually done well. Whereas I think like it coming from somebody who doesn't have any powers but like wanted that power, and then realised once they had it they're like, fuck, this is actually not what it is, what it's all cracked up to be. I love that, and I think his conversation that he has about his dad, recognising that his dad actually was strong out of it all, but that feels very final to me. Yeah. And it feels like you kind of need to die in the next season kind of thing, because or else like we end, like I don't want the boys to keep going on any longer. They can do another season. I don't think they could do another after it though. And they could set up that kind of season 5 finale, because I think leaving it on 4 seasons feels weird. To me 5 seasons always feels like a complete show. Yeah. And with season 1 it was introducing us to this world. And they left a couple of like plot threads there that they could establish, go more into season 2. Season 2, similar sort of thing, although they closed a lot of loose ends. Yeah. And then they left 1 or 2, 3 maybe plot lines going on. And then season 3 basically had to follow those a wee bit, but also establish a lot more. So that's why I think it's almost a wee too much of a jumble, because it's trying to do 2 kind of things at once. It's trying to continue these, but also trying to mix them into the new ones they're trying to do, whilst also trying to close some. But then it just kind of feels like, oh, what are we kind of doing here? Yeah. But it's also meant to kind of like set up the next season. Yeah. Like season 3 wasn't meant to feel like a closer, and that's probably why a lot of storylines didn't close. But I don't know what they set up, really. I feel a wee bit confused. Not confused, but just a wee bit like... Well, like to me, all of season 3 was basically undoing stuff in season 2. And that's why I think it's a bit lazy. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Like, it's kind of like, oh, right, yeah, Ryan's safe now. Oh, end of season 3. Right, he's back home on it. You know, all in a season. Like, it just kind of felt very abrupt. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, because... Like, obviously it made sense given what happened within those scenes and stuff. With Butcher kind of going a bit mental. Yeah, well, I think Butcher's one works. It does work. It does make sense that he would eventually just say, fuck all this, and he takes the V. Yes. And... because he's like, well, I'm losing every other way. I'm gonna do it that way, which does make sense to me. But it does feel like I don't know how you could have Butcher for 2 more seasons. Well, I don't think they will. I think he will be. Well, I think in this season coming up, I don't know, they'll probably kill him. He'll probably try and take V, normal V, and they'll kill him. Yeah. Right? Because his body just can't handle it. Yeah. But I think the problem with it is now you're in a position where you can kind of do a lot of stuff. I think the problem with bringing temporary V is just fucking anyone can do powers now. Yeah. Now, whether, you can only take it 3 times or whatever,
it still is a bit. I think it was a lazy plot line. I know they did it in the comics and stuff, but I do think it's a bit of a lazy plot line, and they brought it like. I think they brought it in far too soon. Like, season 3 is a bit of a weird time to bring in if you're going to do another 2 seasons.
Yeah. I feel like the end of season 3 would have been cool. It would have been nice just to have seen one more season of them not having superpowers.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out how they were going to fight them.
Yeah.
And then losing at the end of season 3 or, you know, midway through. And then finally being like, right, we're going to try this different way.
Well, I think that's also, you're right, because, like, that is kind of a problem where they always kind of win. Like, both sides always kind of win every season, almost.
I wanted to see
like, Homelander obviously loses at the end of 2 or whatever. But people always sort of win. It's kind of weird, you know, no one ever kind of really loses.
Yeah.
You know.
Like, Butcher loses as well, because...
Yeah, obviously.
But nobody else really does.
Yeah, he always gets a shit finale.
Yeah.
Season 1, it's like, oh, my wife's alive.
Yeah.
Season 2, oh, she's dead.
I think
Season 3, I lost the kid. You know.
Yeah, and that the parallels between Butcher and Homelander do work. Especially because, well, Butcher lost this time, but Homelander won because he's just like, oh my god, like, some people will support me even when I'm absolutely mental.
An absolutely mental head, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Season 3 does a bit with gun violence, which is fun. It's like, oh, okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
We're going to take the piss out of this, thank
well,
you.
I remember the sign in season 2. What? Remember the abortion sign?
Oh, God.
What if your child is a Sith?
Yeah. Oh.
That was interesting.
And then they do, like the pro Stormfront signs that are just like.
Well, I do like the world building where the world would kind of be like that if that, you know, was the kind of case.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's just chaotic.
Yeah.
I love how chaotic it is. I do like Homelander's, like, just complete slip into man, like, just decline, really. And kind of like this whole idea that even, like, what's scary about it is that does happen in real life. Like, when somebody loses the plot, they can still be supported. And it's just completely toxic. Like, when I read, I don't know if you read that, you know, like the final scene when somebody throws something at Ryan at Homelander's son, and Homelander kills him in retaliation. That was, like, inspired by Trump saying that he could kill somebody on Fifth Avenue with an audience and he'd still not lose votes. Which is, like, bizarre that happened.
That is 100% true. That is a weird thing. Like,
it's mental, but, like, it's like when you're watching it, you're just kind of like, this is crazy, but this is happening in the world, and it's like, we can't do anything about it. I just think
well, just kind of, it's a lot media based. You know.
It's very media based, you know, which is just showing the 100%. Problem with the media. Is that everything is lies.
Well, just don't believe everything you hear about everything.
I just don't believe anything, really, is kind of the main... Well, to an extent.
Some morals.
Maybe don't be a...
Well, I think the whole thing is kind of like, don't listen to everything you hear or whatever a fucking celebrity says. Yeah. Have your own beliefs. Yeah. You know, figure out what they are, you know, what your morals are.
And if you are going to believe something... At least do your research first 100%. And do proper research first.
Yeah, don't read it, like, on, you know, Reddit
Facebook,
by a man named Mr. Pickles 69 or something. Like.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's a massive problem. Like, people not fact checking, and then they think they've gone and done their research and it's like not verifiable at all, and it's just like, yeah, this is where we come into problems. Herogasm wasn't great.
They intentionally hyped it up. Everyone was disappointed by it because they hyped it up on purpose.
Why they hyped it up, so.
Because I think it's a great episode in terms of character, like the character stories and stuff. the hero gasm part is just kind of like almost a front to be like, oh, it's just gonna be a weird episode. It's just not.
It wasn't weird.
You know, it's what's the word? It's basically hiding your expectations in a different way. You know what I mean?
Just kind of diversion or something.
Yeah, it's diversion. That's what I was looking for.
Because, like, no, because I wasn't involved in all the hype, I didn't actually...
Yeah.
I wasn't too, like, disappointed or anything.
Mm.
But I did think it would be cool to see some actual, like, weird things happening. Not weird as in gross or, like, you know, like, really sexual things happening. More just certain like, people you see collaborating... that you're, well, not collaborating, but, you know, like, together, and you're just like, why are they, you know, what's going on there? Like, I would have liked something a wee bit more of a twist, not a twist, but like a kind of a reveal or something, something cool that would throw you off guard completely.
Are you speaking solely on the ending, where it's revealed that Soldier Boy is Homelander's father?
I didn't think that was a very big reveal, though.
Yeah, because a lot of people did.
Yeah. I don't know why. I think I nearly expected it, though.
Yeah.
But maybe that's what they want. Because the problem when a show is satirical, you don't know if they intended it to be a twist or not, or if, like, it wasn't that surprising to me. So maybe that's what they intended, or maybe they were kind of lucky. They could play their cards in the way that, oh, if people saw it coming, we meant for them to see it coming, or like if it was like a massive reveal, we'll be like, oh yeah, we meant for a big twist reveal thing to happen. It's just like, I never know what to believe when a show is a take the piss a lot of the time.
Yeah, especially when it's not being subtle.
Yeah.
You know, when it's been subtle, you can kind of get away with it, but
yeah. He's great in season 3. He is the best thing.
Oh, Jensen Ackles?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, he is the main takeaway, and it's the one thing everyone honestly kind of agrees on, is he is just really good as that character.
Amazing,
you know, he's great
man.
as Soldier Boy, like, and like I was like, oh no, are they gonna kill him? I kind of don't. I kind of like his character, and then, you know, he gets fucking Winter Soldiered or whatever. But I think also the good thing about Soldier Boy is I knew they kind of weren't gonna kill him, because he has a lot of elements to him that haven't been explored, and they haven't really gone too deep into him yet, storyline wise, and he has an arc to sort of fulfill. Yeah, because they don't really explain a lot of stuff. Well, we the audience kind of know, but none of the characters know. Like, they don't know how he triggers. Yeah, you know. But it's always when he hears like a Russian song, because he gets PTSD. Yeah. Or, you know, he just kind of just gets PTSD from being reminded of, you know, tortured essentially. Yeah. And I think that'll be an interesting thing to figure out, where they'll almost use him as a toy, because they'll know he's almost like a walking bomb that they can just press a button on.
Yeah,
you know.
pretty much.
Also, he just looks cool.
He does look cool. He sounds cool. He has such a sensual voice. When he's talking, you're like, whoa, you're so deep, voice. Wow.
Fab Five Freddy told me everybody's fly. Did you spin the 7 man?
He's so good. I think as well, I think the most enjoyable thing about him is that he doesn't, is that what we said earlier, that he doesn't care about anything. But the thing I really feel was a missed opportunity was, you know, his team, what are they called, Payback or something? His team? Whatever. I feel like maybe they can go into them in season 5 or 4, but because he's already killed a heap of them, especially Black Noir, I kind of didn't want Black Noir to die, because I would have liked to have known a wee bit more about them, on a personal level. Because it feels like if they're there, like if the 7 are an answer to them, then we want to know the shit that went on with them. But because a heap of them are dead now, it's like, well, we don't really get anyone else's perspective.
Well, when they did that, I sort of really saw the Watchmen parallels. Where it's like, yeah, we're following the Watchmen, or we're following the 7, which are like the main kind of guys. But there was previously, you know, the Minutemen for the Watchmen. Yeah. And, you know, the 7 had their equivalent as well. So it was interesting to see that, you know, in a way, where it's not, oh, you know, they're not just, you know, yes, there have been heroes and stuff before, we knew that, but there have been a squad before.
Yeah.
You know.
I just think they could have done a wee bit more with it, but maybe they will do more with it. But I just, like, I think he just, like...
Well, they're all dead now, aren't they?
Yeah, he just, like, brutally killed everyone without any, like, discussion of what actually went down or anything.
What do you think about Black Noir? Do you think he's dead?
I've seen theories that, like...
Because there's a lot of theories where he heals, but slowly.
Yeah, very slowly.
And, you know, there's other theories that he'll just be replaced.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
I don't know if they'll do that one, though.
I think they probably will just do slow healing.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll kill off Black Noir because they literally just gave him a character story. Like, we finally just figured out something about him.
But also that almost seems like a way of them closing the door quickly. Where it's like, right, we'll give him this character and then we'll just kill him. Do you know what I mean?
But like, I think he's quite instrumental.
Yeah.
Because he is the only one of...
that follows orders.
Yeah, and he's the only one left from Soldier Boy's previous team. And he has that alliance to Homelander over Soldier Boy.
But unless they bring someone else in.
Like who?
Well... a character I've always wanted to see for a while.
Okay.
And an actor that has been considered for every season of The Boys. Who is a fan of The Boys?
Who's this?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Okay.
People want him. And I want him as Tech Knight. Which is basically the Iron Man of that universe, right?
Okay.
Which I think would be a very interesting person to have replace Black Noir. And I think... it would be an interesting dynamic between him and Homelander. Obviously, there's still a ton of other characters that need to be, you know, introduced to this fucking show. But yeah, no. So, do you have anything else to say, or will we move on to sort of like season 4?
No, season 4. I'm happy to move on.
The spin-off and what can I tell you about the spin-off? Cause
tell me.
The spin-off was announced. Well, I would like to tell the audience here that I wasn't going to watch season 3 of The Boys.
Yes, I forced you to watch it.
Yes. Because I said, after season 2, I was like, oh, geez, you know, I'm excited to see season 3. And then like a couple of months after, I think, they announced it's getting a spin-off. And I was like, or no, it was getting 2 spin-offs. And I was like, oh, fuck, no, I can't do this. You know, I just can't. Can we at least have... a show finish and do a spin-off? Like fucking Breaking Bad did a show and then it had a spin-off after the show fucking ended and it had a movie and, you know, blah blah blah, all that kind of bullshit. But now in the day and age of fucking streaming services, we can't have a show be fucking finished, you know. Yeah,
because then they means you have to watch both to watch one.
Well, it's a classic Mando situation where they had Mandalorian season 1 and 2. Then after season 2, right, we're going to do Boba Fett, which is connected to this. We're going to do Ahsoka, which is connected to this. We're going to do Rangers of the New Republic, which is connected to this. You know, all these fucking shows. I'm like, fuck off. Like, you know.
I don't want to watch them.
And then also, you're seeing with the Batman recently. You know, we have the Batman, and then 3 fucking shows get announced in HBO Max. You have the Penguin show, you have the Catwoman show, and then you have the Arkham Asylum fucking show, right? And I'm like, oh, Christ. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's too much. It is just capitalising on it.
Well, it's striking while the iron's hot, and it's almost seeing, while they know the main thing will always do well, they're trying to see now, while that is continuing, what we can sort of do after this, or what can we continue with, you know. Like, because the way I think they're going to do it is, so there's 2 shows. One that has come out, which is the Diabolical, which is the animated series, which I think is the stupidest thing to ever exist in the world, because it's not canon to the show. There's only one episode canon to the show, and it's the episode we watched prior to this, which is the introduction of Homelander, which I think is an interesting introduction.
Yeah, it's a good introduction.
It shows his kind of interesting friendship dynamic between Black Noir and stuff. It also shows that he tried to be good at the start.
It didn't work.
Didn't really work for him.
Yeah. Well, he didn't know how to be good.
Well, it also kind of shows that, you know, it's almost like the piss out of Superman, that Superman could just not exist in the real world.
Yeah.
You know, when you see Superman bending bars around people, and people be like, I can't fucking breathe. You know, like it's just interesting.
Yeah.
But they have that show, and I do think it was from the artists that did the animation department that did Invincible, which is a very similar show. I think it's Image Comics or it's Dark Horse, I can't remember, but it came out
Yeah, I remember
season 2 or whatever. But when season 2 of The Boys came out, and it's a very similar show, but I think The Boys is better because it's more satirical. You know, the Invincible's not really a satire as such. It's, you know, but it's from that animation team, and that's why it has that kind of very similar aesthetic. And I think it was a good kind of call to do. Right, we'll get the animation from, you know, team from this fucking show that's successful for us. We'll get them to do, you know, the other one, whatever. My problem is it's not canon. I think this would be a good time to. The animation thing would be a good thing to show us stuff that they couldn't physically do in the show.
Yeah.
Like in that episode, there's some stuff we would never have seen in that show. We wouldn't have seen an explosion that massive, him flying about like that. We just wouldn't, like, animation's there for stuff you can't do practically in video or in film.
Yeah.
You know, in TV or whatever. Mainly due to budgets and, you know, practicalities as such.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a smart thing to do. Whereas it's more of just adapting some storylines and stuff from the comics. But sometimes it's kind of its own thing. It's very strange. But I digress. Then they have which was announced as like a college. You know, it's based around some college students and stuff that all, you know, college sips or whatever. It's now called Gen V.
Yes.
Very good pun, I must say. It is good, like it is good. On the nose, you know, it's talking about Compound V and obviously taking past the whole Gen Z blah blah bullshit sort of a thing. I don't care for it at all. I haven't seen anything about the show.
Yeah.
I have just no interest in it whatsoever, though. That is my problem.
I think it'll just be tonally so different to what we... It might, like I do think the problem is oversaturation. Like, when something is good, they want to do everything.
Yes.
And I know it's just to, as you said, like, put a few irons in to see how things work. But also, I personally think that sometimes the best thing to do is to create a space which needs, like, to create a hole that you can fill. But there is never going to be a space to create something new when it's so saturated with other stuff you're doing. So, like, there's no need for a new Star Wars thing. There's plenty of good ideas,
100%, yeah.
but we don't need anything new Star Wars because there's so much stuff happening all the time. Whereas, like, when you have a break from a show or from characters or from X, Y, and Z, then, like, people are wanting more of it. So then if there's a 5-year gap or whatever, and then you announce it, people are more excited because they haven't had it for a while.
Yeah, I just don't see this working.
No.
You know.
I think The Boys worked because there was nothing like it before.
And it appealed to such a wide audience.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they can... Well, this is my problem with The Boys, and I think it's something that will eventually happen. Where it eventually becomes a parody and satire of itself.
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem that it eventually will come.
Yeah.
It might not come next season, but it probably will by the last. Do you know what I mean? Where they've satirized so much that they're almost going to accidentally take the piss out of itself. And then because you take the piss out of yourself, you can't take it seriously at all, and then it ultimately just falls apart.
Interestingly, that's what happened to Scream. The Scream franchise, which we will be doing in a couple of
weeks. Which we'll be doing very soon. We were meant to do Scream when the one came out. Was it not January? The fourth one? The fifth one came out. Also, we will be talking about Scream 6 and that, which is coming out next year, and our problems with it.
We probably won't be watching it. Let's be honest.
No. Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Season 4 or no?
No. Just interesting to see where it goes. It'll be a while.
Well, I imagine we'll do another one, The Boys.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to probably read all the comics by then. Because, we
Fair
probably
enough.
won't get a season for another 2 years now.
You'll have plenty of time.
Because I imagine what they're going to do now is they're going to have one season with this college bullshit and then one season of The Boys. And then another season and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's going to turn into The Walking Dead where there's 3 fucking shows on at once. That was just stupid, right?
So annoying.
To the point where 2 of them got cancelled or 1 of them got cancelled. But I think I'll probably read all the comics because it's a short run. The run was from I think November 2006 to something 2012. So there's only 6 years of comics in there, which isn't too hard to sort of read.
Mm-hmm.
So I might read them by then. It's not like Judge Dredd, where there's 40 fucking years of comics or something. But no, that's pretty much us. I'll be back next week with Adam, and the following week with Kira again. We will be talking about something very special. I was going to say what me and Adam were going to talk about, but we're not quite sure yet. We might be doing Blade, or we might be doing Hellraiser, or not Hellraiser, Hellboy. We're not quite sure yet. It all depends on the news of the Blade film, which might be connected to The Boys in terms of actors, which we'll be talking about next week. But thank you to Buzzsprout for hosting, as always. And make sure to follow us on Instagram at The State of Podcast, and on the YouTube, which is back online with all the episodes uploaded, that you can listen to anytime if you don't have Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever, all that bullshit. That is The State of Podcast YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe. And I'll be back next week with Adam. And good luck.
All right.